Hello, everybody, and welcome to the August 20th, 2018 edition of the Ephrom Josine Show. I am your host, Ephrom Josine. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about how the United States of America is basically an empire at this point, and why that's an awful thing. Now, it should be obvious for the record that imperialism doesn't work, because in order to actually be successful in imperialism, you have to be willing to literally fight over the smallest part of your land, because the second you don't, look at that, everything is gone. You know, there are going to be uprisings everywhere. However, it's a little bit more complicated in the case of the US. And I'll get into why that is. Now, some people may be expecting me to respond to a recent PragerU video called What Was the Cold War? By Andrew. No, seriously, Saddam Hussein totally did have WMDs when we invaded them, guys. Really, stop laughing. Roberts. That was a mouthful. However, I don't really have as much of an issue with the substance of the video as I do more how simplified the Cold War was, which, to be fair, it's a 90 or an 80-year-old conflict, something in a 5-minute video. You're going to have to essentially leave so much out. But let me give you some examples of what I mean. There were, to be sure, many morally complex moments during this long struggle. By the way, they never actually give an example of those morally complex moments, such as the many times the United States destabilized democratically elected socialist leaders in order to install dictators, which, to be fair, it's one thing if you're toppling the Soviet Union. It's another if you're toppling a democratic election in a free country to bring them freedom and democracy. But the Cold War was, at its core, as clear of a conflict of good versus evil as World War II had been. Just like that war, the Cold War was a death match between the forces representing freedom and the forces representing totalitarianism. Now, it's a little bit more than that. The main question of the Cold War was, does everyone deserve equal, which was what the Soviet Union's take was, or do some people deserve a little more, which is what supposedly capitalist America's take was. There's more gray areas than this guy is willing to talk about, is what I'm saying. Also on the page, they spelled Joseph with an F. Not even Stalin spelled it like that, just saying. To give you another idea, they really don't talk about a lot of presidents' involvement in the Cold War. They do not mention any presidents besides Truman and Reagan at all in the video, and Truman only got 2 mentions and Reagan only got 1. So you're leaving out a large amount of things, a lot of the really morally complex stuff, for the record, in order to paint the the US was always good and the Soviets were always evil. To be fair, I do think the Soviets were always evil. I don't think the US was always good. I think we were probably morally superior to the Soviet Union. But that's not really saying much. You know, let's take the survey real quick. Did you learn something new from this video? Yes, actually. That you could turn such a complex topic into such a simple 5-minute video. You didn't do it very well, but you did it. Did this video influence your opinion or change your mind on a topic? No. That would be really weird. Why? Andrew Roberts told me that this was moral, so therefore, do the arguments presented in the video help you better articulate your values? No. How would you rate the presenter of the video? Did not like him. How would you rate the topic of the video? Really interested, personally. Is PragerU a non-profit? I guess this is how they determine whether or not I am trustworthy. I'm going to say yes, just so this counts. And what is PragerU? And then, by the way, the previous question is PragerU a non-profit? First answer, PragerU is a non-profit educational media influencer. No. And I can't see the results of my survey. I can't see what other people answered. That sucks. Anyway, now on to the United Empire. The United Empire? I don't know, I'm trying to think of a catchy phrase for that. U.S. forces to stay in Iraq as long as needed. This is from Raw Story, the only place that covered this that I could find, by the way. And I know what some of you are thinking, didn't we officially end the Iraq War in 2011? Well, I thought so too, but apparently, no. We're still doing drone strikes all over Iraq, and have been since 2011 when we supposedly left. We haven't even really left the troop presence. We're still there to this day. Obama just pretended to get out of it, probably because he was just about to be up for re-election, honestly. And that was one of his biggest campaign promises was, I'll get us out of Iraq. Not Afghanistan, though. Afghanistan is justifiable. You remember that one? U.S. forces will stay in Iraq, quote, as long as needed. Now, wait, what does that mean? What does that mean? Because originally, I thought the reason we were needed was to topple Saddam Hussein. Then it was to fight Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Well, according to all these pro-Trump people, ISIS has been obliterated. Tommy Lawrence was on Fox News 6 months ago saying, remember ISIS? They're gone now. Because of Donald Trump, because of James Mattis. It was because of Kurd armies, but that's besides the point. And we're still in there to help stabilize regions previously controlled by Islamic State. A spokesman for the U.S.-led international coalition fighting the militant said on Sunday. But wait a minute, we're the reason it's destabilized. We went in there and toppled Saddam Hussein. That destabilized the region drastically and allowed ISIS to get a foothold. But now we got to stay there to re-stabilize it, despite the fact, mind you, we tried putting in a puppet dictator, Maliki. And that didn't work, and the current prime minister of Iraq hates America. They were saying, there are neoconservatives right now saying, well, Iraq has elections now. The person they elected absolutely hates America. How much longer until we have to liberate them again? We'll keep troops there as long as we think they're needed. So forever. The main reason after ISIS is defeated, military is the stabilization effort, and we still need to be there for that. So that's one reason we'll maintain a presence. Colin Sean Ryan told a news conference in Abu Dhabi. I'm not good at pronouncing these names. Okay. Now, what was the corporate media talking about at the time when things like this were going on? This is from a little bit ago, for the record. I understand it, but this is still something I didn't get to cover. Apparently, Donald Trump signed a defense bill that increases our military by $100 billion, adds $8 billion for a space military. I wrote a column on Ephrom Josine not too long ago. It's 10 things we can't afford while we can't afford a space force. I'm going to just read you some of the things we can't afford. We can't afford to give health care to the 45,000 people who die every year to the lack of basic health care, pay off the $1.5 trillion student loans debt, continue funding Meals on Wheels or welfare programs or education, or help the 500,000 homeless people, or the 40,000 veterans. And our national debt is currently $21 trillion, all of that. However, we can afford a space force. Now, the bill in question was named after Senator John McCain. Now, Donald Trump did not thank Senator John McCain. Now, it's possible he didn't do that because, oh, why, he's just angry at John McCain for not letting him repeal Obamacare, or he just likes people who don't get caught. Yeah, remember that one? Or he just forgot. That's also possible. I don't know which one it is. I cannot read Donald Trump's mind. I have tried to before. There's not much to read. But anyway, Jake Taper, is it Tapper or Taper? Jake was offended Donald Trump did not thank John McCain and thanked him on his behalf. This is what the mainstream media is doing, by the way. You can sign a large defense bill. Just thank the person who wrote it. God love the corporate media. God bless the corporate media. I don't think I need to say anything on this. I'm Ephrom, and good night.